I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks.
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. We are at episode 167. Welcome to the studio, Jim White, Brother Dave White, and Super Dave Weldon.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Game day, podcast day. We're ready, Jim.
Thank you.
JFW Super Bowl podcast here.
Right here.
Huh.
We practice for this day.
Don't be decaf. Let's bring some energy.
There you go.
What better way to bring some energy than with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making the good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free, and that we all make it back to the comfort of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. We pray for you to heal Carlos Meza's lungs and body, and that he's released from the hospital soon. We pray over Erica's surgery tomorrow and a smooth recovery. No matter what, we trust you, God, and it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim. That was a good one.
You're welcome. As a reminder, anything you hear in today's podcast is not the opinion of JFWs. It's just the expressed opinion of the men in this room. Episode 166 had 271 downloads. We are at 87.9 thousand total downloads, and we gained 10 followers last week. We're at 678 followers.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Right? I thought so. You guys know why the coffee filed the police report?
Something to do with its grounds or something.
It was black and white.
Nope. It got mugged.
Oh man, that's what I have.
That's a dad joke, right?
Right. I think because I would call that a pun because I looked up puns.
Oh, okay.
And I have so here you go. I'll go. I'm afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered.
Ooh.
Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera.
That's good.
What do you call a pony with a sore throat?
Horse.
A little horse.
Yeah.
Why are piggy banks so wise? They're filled with common sense.
Ah.
I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something.
I've heard that one before.
And my last one. When two vegans get in an argument, is it still called a beef?
Not bad.
Who thinks those things up, you know?
Well-
That's genius.
Well, Jim, did you hear engineers have successfully made a car that could run on parsley? Now they're trying to make a train that could run on time.
Wow.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Is it?
I thought it was. Well, a man is driving down the highway and he hits a rabbit and kills it. He gets out of the car and walks over to the rabbit. He picks it up and starts crying. He thinks he's a horrible person. Someone else is driving down the highway and stops and walks over to him and asks, "What happened?" The man replies, "I hit this rabbit with my car and now it's dead." The other person gets a thoughtful look on their face, goes back to their car. They rummage around in the trunk and eventually walk back over to the man holding a spray bottle. They spray the rabbit with the bottle and it comes back to life. It starts hopping away, turning back every few hops to wave at the two people. The man, astounded, turns to the other person and asks, "What was in the bottle?" And the other person replies, "It was hairspray."
Oh, man. Now that's awesome. Good one.
Well,
Oh, boy.
there was 2 old ladies standing together smoking, and it begins to rain. So one old lady pulls out a condom and snips off the tip and puts it over her cigarette so she can smoke without her cigarette getting all wet. The other old lady thinks this is pretty nifty and asked what she put over her cigarette. And the lady replies, "It was a condom, and you can buy them at the pharmacy." The second old lady thanks her and makes a note to pick one up when she goes down to get her prescription later that week. So sure enough, a few days later, she enters the pharmacy and goes up to the young man working the counter and says, "Young man, I want to buy a condom, please." And the young man, taken back, says, "Wow, you're pretty old. Wow, good for you. No one has ever asked me for help with that before." So the young man asks, "What size do you need?" And the old woman thinks for a moment and then replies, "I need one that fits a camel."
Ah. Wow.
So there you have it.
There it is.
I didn't. That was,
That joke's gone wild.
yeah. I didn't see that one going that way.
New employees, we got Adrian Jones and William Miltonberger. Welcome to the fleet, man.
Welcome guys.
aboard.
Yep, welcome.
Celebrations, anniversaries. Kathy Rutherford and Damian Rubal celebrate 1 year today.
Ah, great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Armando Del Val, 2 years tomorrow. And Jack Dominica will hit 4 years this Saturday.
Wow. Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah. Birthdays. This past Monday, the 27th, Rico had a birthday, Rico Christensen. Tuesday, the 28th, Manuel De La Torre had a birthday. And Kenneth Holgoon had a birthday today. Carlos Rascon has a birthday tomorrow, and then Damian Rubal has a birthday Saturday the 1st.
Wow. Happy birthday,
Yeah,
everybody.
Happy birthday,
I
everybody.
like when
Happy
birthdays
birthday,
and
folks.
anniversaries are close. Like Jose Barraza, his birthday and anniversaries the same
Yeah,
day.
same day. Yeah.
Same day, yeah.
Yep. Family birthday celebrations. Jeff Soto's son, Emilio Soto, had a birthday this past Sunday. Mrs. Chili Dog had a birthday yesterday. And then Fabio's son, Lohan, has a birthday today.
Ah, happy birthday.
Yeah,
And
happy
I
birthday,
think
family.
He just turned 1, I think.
I think he's 2.
2. Yeah, I
he's
remember
2
when
years
he was born.
And then James Koger, who's a regular listener of the podcast and Rick Gray's friend, had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, James.
Yeah, happy
Yeah,
birthday,
very cool.
James.
Rick was sure to text me that this morning, so wants
Good-
to make sure
good
everybody
stuff.
gets some love.
Absolutely.
I want to give a shout out to Georgi Lalashvili. He has taken his citizens test on February 7th. So wishing you the best of luck, Georgi.
Yeah, congratulations, Georgi.
I gotta jump in there. I don't want to interfere with the shout outs, but I was like, okay, citizenship test.
Mm-hmm.
So 100 random questions.
Okay.
You have to answer 10 of them. They'll ask you 10 out of the 100. You gotta get 6 right. Okay. So you are all United States citizens here in the room.
that probably can't answer that. I could almost
Well,
guarantee you we can't answer.
Here we go, Dave.
Damn, and I didn't study.
Is this multiple choice? And are you going to give me a 1% bonus for
So
answering?
these are the top 10 toughest out of the 100.
Ooh.
So, and I knew this one. I was pretty proud of myself. Name the 2 longest rivers in the United States.
Arkansas?
Nope.
I'm going to say the Mississippi and the Missouri.
Got it.
There you go.
Yep. It's 2 longest in the United States. Then from there, it was bad. I didn't know shit. Who was the president during the Great Depression and World War II?
FDR.
Yep. You got it, Dave. FDR.
Good job.
This is one. And what is the rule of law?
The rule of law. If you kill me, I forgive you.
I thought it was if I have the biggest gun, I win. I don't know.
Well, isn't it the rule voted upon by the people?
So it's pretty close, Dave, but it is a foundation of democracy and good governance.
There you go.
So
We need some
That's
more.
where I was going with that.
And who was the president during World War I?
Oh, I want to say Woodrow Wilson.
Right on, Dave. Good job.
Nice, man.
Good job. Here's today's facts. Who is the Chief Justice of the United States right now?
Is SC something?
John Roberts.
That's what I meant. Same thing.
Yeah, I couldn't have got that.
I did, and I thought this one, I got this one wrong, but I thought I was right, and I wasn't. But anyway, how many justices are there on the Supreme Court?
12.
9.
I thought there was 7.
9, right?
Yeah, there is 9. 9. You guys are
That's
right.
what I said, 9.
And this one I was way off because immediately I said a date. But anyway, when was the Constitution written?
Ooh.
Oh, I should know this. It was ratified in like 1783 or something like that. And it wasn't 17. I'll say 1778.
Ooh.
So I right off the top of your head, 1776, right? You
Second
just want to spit
Amendment.
that out. And I knew that wasn't the exact date, but I didn't know it was the 1787. I didn't know it was that far.
Wow.
later.
It was, yeah.
Wow,
We
11
were
11 years later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Revolutionary War was going well
Yep.
into the 80s,
Yep.
the 1780s. And
Yeah. And then the House of Representatives has how many members? And I didn't have a clue, but I was shocked at the number.
400 and something.
Yep. 435, Dave.
Maybe not today. Yesterday.
And then,
It'll be less if we can get California to leave.
right. How many amendments does the Constitution have?
13.
Wow.
19.
Amendments.
27, and it was last ratified or changed in 1992. It was the last one that we added. And then this is the toughest one on all of the tests. And there's 2 portions to this test and nobody gets it really. Name one writer of the Federalists Papers.
Yeah, about that.
Alexander Hamilton.
John Quincy Adams.
I only wrote down James Madison.
Good answer.
I think you might be right, Dave. James Madison. I just wrote one of the people down, but most of them, because the Federalist Papers stopped in like 1870 or was dissolved. That group. But
Wow.
yeah.
Well, Georgi, there's some answers for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Top 10. I seen that, and it's not easy,
They must have something to study, though. They don't just
Oh,
pull
yeah.
a history book off the shelf, right?
No.
The little bit I read, Dave, they give you the 100 questions. You can do that. They suggest you if you can afford it. Again, there's a cost. Contact an immigration lawyer. But out of these 100, they can ask you 10. You got to pass 6.
Huh.
Yeah. Should ask Fabio because he just
Yeah.
did it a year ago.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Fabio came up to me one day and asked me a question, and I was like, I don't know, Fabio. He's like, but you're a citizen. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's what he reminded me.
Right.
Definitely taking it for granted.
Yeah,
Apparently,
I did.
Right.
I did poorly on those 10.
Yeah.
Not my thing. So yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for digging in.
Yeah, a shout out for you becoming a citizen. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
I think I'm so proud of anybody that becomes a citizen.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of a funny story is Sergio, the mechanic Sergio, all this week he's been talking about, paying his taxes, because he's got his W-2 and he's like super excited to pay his taxes. I'm like, why are you so excited to pay your taxes? He's like, and Ricky was there and they went back and forth in Spanish real quick. And Ricky's like, just so everybody knows he's legit.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So sorry, Jam, didn't want to
No,
jump in there on the shout outs.
definitely no apologies necessary. I love that whole thing. Awesome.
Sergio is appreciating the freedoms and benefits that being in the United States affords him.
Yeah,
So he's more than happy to pay his taxes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not happy because my tax status changed in November. So I paid one way all year and then different at the end of the year. And that's not working out very well for me.
Oh, that's a bummer.
All right. Zach Thought says, I was coming back from Fair Play and a little shout out to you guys that do the podcast. A fuel driver from Denver, I wish I got his name or company, called out to me on the CB and said he was really enjoying the JFW podcast and that it has come a long way from the beginning episodes. He said he listened to the recent one on topics about 285. And then he has been going back to listen more and really appreciates what you guys are doing for the family of truck drivers / brotherhood. Said, keep it up. He runs Denver to Gunnison, so the 285 episode was very helpful. Zach later added that he was looking out for us too when a four-wheeler was making a dangerous passing maneuver. Called out to them guys on the radio. So,
I bet.
yeah, wish we knew who you were. Feel free to email jam@jfwtrucking.com or let us know, make a comment on the podcast. We'd love to know who you are and give you an actual shout out. So,
thank you for shouting out about the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
You know, it is a brotherhood. We have to work together and be better together.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's exactly what we're after is to reach as many people as possible.
100%. I want to give a shout out to all the first try 100%ers on a knowledge challenge for the podcast. We'll get into that a little bit more. We've been talking about the podcast and knowledge challenge quite a bit this morning. I do want to recognize those people, and perhaps we'll read their names off later. Oz wants to give a shout out to Randy Alvarez for letting Tony Martinez take his truck to Redmond. It's very generous of you to give up your truck so somebody else could go out of town. Oz also wants to give all the new drivers who headed out to Redmond recently. So it doesn't even mean that you're a new driver here, but new to the Redmond run as well. Super helpful. That's something that we need as many people to do as we can.
Yeah, we had a lot of people step up. The dispatch went through and called the people, and a lot of people, hey, you've already asked me, and I just can't do it. And it was just finding out who couldn't, and if there was some reasons that we could fix to help you out, be able to go.
Sure.
And because it's good money. It's good money for the drivers, good money for the company. And I've told everybody, a lot of people mentioned that we were slow, and we're really not, because in the first time of me working here at JFW, 42 years, we've never had more loads than what we're capable of going and getting. Mm. And we have loads sitting that we can go get, drivers can go get, and we don't have the drivers. We don't have the equipment. And, that was the reason for the second phone call of trying to find out, hey, can you go? Can you help us out? Can you do this? Cause it's important to everybody. That's what's going to make the winter go, and I know Super Dave sitting here just before we started the podcast was, when have we ever done this kind of work in January? It's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a different feel when we have to go out of town.
Yep.
Especially if you hired on, we're not an over the road company.
Yeah. We're a local company, and you probably want to be home with your families every night. And listen, there's two different ways to look at this. Number one, if you're struggling financially and you could get out of town. I talked to one of the out of town drivers yesterday, and he was telling me how much money he's making. I mean, he's making summertime money right now running a Redmond.
Right.
So it is possible, if maybe you don't go three times in a week, maybe you go one time and it helps you out a little bit. If you don't need the money and you want to help JFW out, there's another reason to go. If you don't need the money and, I'm not saying you're not helping us out, but you just don't want to go. I mean, it's not a forced dispatch. Not yet.
No,
right.
No. And that's that was the other reason for the phone calls. We didn't want to force it. I mean, I couldn't believe out of 110 drivers, we couldn't get 50 to do it,
right.
And that takes care of the loads. And there was easily more than, 50, I think, that we came up with. And just like you said, I understand if you have a dog and you're a single person, or, you help your wife out every night with kids because she goes to work, or there's a lot of stuff. That's the reason you got this job. But is there a lot of people that can do it? And that's what we wanted to find out.
I'd like to encourage everybody to consider it. If you can make it work, there is a benefit to it.
Yeah.
So.
And one load a week, that changes it for everybody.
Yep.
If, one driver or each driver can do one load a week, that helps out a lot. And I know, Dave, you said you were just talking to that driver and what he's making. And we have several drivers that have already changed their safety scores that the groups are working with. I'm pretty sure he's above 95 on both his scores. And like I said, we have several drivers that have already changed that. But what is that a week, Dave? You said you just did the math.
Just the safety bonus?
Just a safety bonus per week extra.
Do we want to talk about what he made for the week?
Sure.
Yeah. He mentioned that he made $2,100 for the week.
Gross, right, guys?
Yeah, gross $2,100 for the week. And the safety bonus, if you take the 9% on that, because he is over the 95 on both scores, and he's taking the podcast test, that's $179 bonus per week.
Right.
Just the 9% on top of that.
That's
And that doesn't
amazing.
count a Friday or Saturday bump.
Right.
No.
So, I mean,
So basically $180
yeah.
and a bonus in a week.
Yeah.
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 I mean, he's almost knocking down $2,500 a week.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. When that bonus hits
yeah.
the
The
15th of next month, that's going to be nice.
right.
absolutely. Absolutely. Which again, we talk about all the time. That money right now is adding to your PTO days,
Everything.
your holidays.
Just-
I mean, it just,
Yeah.
The snowball effect is big.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great words, Jim. The snowball effect. I mean, it's like, paying something off when you're looking at your finances, you get to pay something off. If you take that payment and apply it to your next thing you have to pay off, and pretty soon you snowball your payments and you're without a payment.
Right.
That's the same thing as
Right.
snowballing your percentages.
Yep.
And we're really fighting to get everybody to be a team and go do this and look at the big picture.
Yep.
What's your goals?
All right. Let's see. I lost my spot. Ron DeFron. I'd like to give a shout out to Mike Bortz for being such a good trainer. We've heard that before.
Mhm.
Also, I'd like to give a shout out to the driver that helped me out at Burnco. I think his name is Damien, and it was Damien Roybal. He showed me exactly what the JFW family is about. Thank you. So that makes us happy when we hear somebody new needed help. And, we always say Super Dave sells a bill of goods at the interview, but it's up to our drivers to make good on that bill of goods. So,
Absolutely, Jim.
when you got guys like Damien out there doing the right thing and helping people out, and Damien, I mean, did he just have his 1 year? Has he been here a year? I can't remember. But, he's a fairly new guy, and he's already, adding value to the JFW culture and family.
Right.
So nice job, Damien. And then I want to give a shout out to these 3 drivers. Make note of this. It could be a podcast challenge question. These 3 drivers, Bear, Ted, and Cece, for helping pull tarps back off the salt pile yesterday, yard 23. There was 2 other people there doing it. That would be Scooby and myself. We are not drivers. So if you see our names, we are not the right answer.
There you go.
Damien just had his year anniversary.
He did just have it. Yeah.
Yeah, like the 24th.
Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of the salt bin, you guys, and pulling the tarp backs, what did we decide, Dave? Was that 8,000 or 7,000 the way they stacked it total in it? Cause it was full.
Over 7,000 tons of salt in that bin. Yeah.
And we've hauled, we got like 1,000 tons left.
Yeah,
So we've knocked that out, with Kyle at Saltworks. And so thanks guys for all the help and the loading out and scaling. And, that's just another aspect of our job that we do during the winter.
Yep. Yeah. You don't realize how deep that bin is until it's empty.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Cow. So
Right.
it goes back there.
Like you're hauling. Hello.
Right? Yep. You guys got any shout outs? Super Dave, I know you had one.
Yep. So Fabio reached out to me this morning, wanted to give a shout out to the snow crew. He's been working the last couple of storms, and he just said, hey, thanks to Chili, Valentino, Dave Higuera, Damien, and he just says, you guys are amazing. Thanks for all the help. So
Nice.
those guys stepped up. I mean, that first storm, it was, a classic midwinter storm. I think it was probably 5 below zero in the morning when they started. If anybody knows anything about, heavy equipment, they don't like to start in the morning at all. Way worse than your trucks. And then the snow you're pushing snow and it's 40 degrees. It's easy. It stacks up, it melts out, and it just disappears, but not when it's zero.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not that,
It's a
not
whole
that
different-
January fun.
Whole
huh?
different gig, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
I know you meant, I'm going to take the mic back here real quick. You mentioned Valentino. I want to give a shout out to Valentino. I ran into him at the gym the other day. He had a day off. He wasn't working. I go on my lunch break typically. Not so much this month. Most people start working out a lot in January. I've been struggling to get to the gym in January. It's the opposite for me, but, ran into Valentino. It's just good to see, people that take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, Emilio
Silva?
He goes to the gym regularly. We were talking to Ron DeFron. He goes before work, so he's up early going. So
Wow.
it is possible. You can, get fit and work at JFW at the same time. So
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Yep. Yeah, my shout outs, I did want to mention the snow crew, Super Dave. I'm glad you had more of a list. I know Chili, shout out to Chili. He did a good job arranging it. You know, this last storm here, he started on Thursday and went through the names, and we had people out of town and, you know, all that kind of different stuff. And I think we got more snow, you know, Saturday night than kind of was expected.
Definitely.
And we knocked it out. And so again, that's, you know, JFW standards working together over at Rolla and Intermodal and being a team and cleaning the areas that we need to get cleaned and, you know, loading it out. And, you know, those can be fun. We can work as a team and get things accomplished when it, you know, still it's cold out and it's snow, and, you know, you're there working, but, you know, it's just us. It's just the JFW teammates, and there's no public out there. It's just the railroad area. And, you know, it's good to see everybody knock it out and get it done. And again, it's, you know, helps you with your paycheck and helps us too. So thanks to the snow crew. And then I did send a message to these guys on Connect. I heard back from Jimmy and Potter and stuff on it. That was some of the group of guys, but I kind of watched everybody coming back from Redmond Saturday there that spent the night Friday night. And I'm pretty sure the snow started in Vail. And they, you know, changed Vail. I think they chained in Eisenhower. They had to come down Dumont. And then when they, you know, everybody knows how the weather was here Saturday, they weren't chained up. But every time I looked at anybody's cameras, you know, it was just two paths of barely asphalt on the street. And they went down to Parker and delivered. So Jimmy, Tony, Cece, Bob, Coleman, John Jordan, and Potter, thanks you guys for doing a great job last Saturday. And, you know, we got guys out there doing a great job every day, but these were just the group that fought the snow and knocked it out of the park. You know, it was awesome. So Thanks, guys.
That is awesome. I wanted to throw another shout out there to Chili. we have actually picked up another contract, and he had to come in yesterday. He was scheduled off on PTO, which, if you noticed on the page earlier on celebrations, it was his wife's birthday.
Right.
He still came in. I don't know how.
Oh, doghouse and PTO.
Right.
Baby.
Right.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, babe. I got to go into work for a little while.
I forget. Do you guys, what's his wife's name?
Melissa?
I can't remember. I know his.
Well, Chili's wife's, we're sorry. Happy birthday.
Right.
She does listen to the podcast.
I know she does. Chili helped us out.
Yeah.
I should know your first name,
Yeah.
but thank you for being a good teammate.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So he came in and busted it out and did a little more on top of that. So, cause he had to go over and do some more work at Pecos, and yeah, so he took care of it.
Nice.
Good job, Chili.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other shout outs?
I'm good.
All right. Let's get into the hot topic of the discussion. And I want to call that the knowledge challenge results. Like I said, we talked about that in quite a bit, and I'd like to have some of that dialogue on the podcast as well. One thing I thought of is maybe we put it out. I could make a survey on Connect to see what everybody thinks about it. But interesting results. 97 out of 154 people completed the test. And when I say completed, that means they got 100%. 86 out of 119 drivers completed it with 100%. 35 people, 14 of who were drivers, never even tried to take the quiz. A lot of people took the test multiple times. And when I say multiple, I'm just letting you know, some people took the test over 100 times and still didn't get all the answers right. There was 753 entries, meaning the test was taken 753 times. Shout out to Joanne Leonard. She's the only one outside of drivers, safety, like that group, excluding including admin, dispatch, the mechanics, and the wash bay. Joanne is the only one who completed the test. So shout out to Joanne.
Good job, Joanne.
She actually completed it the first time. Got 100%.
Better than I did.
Better than you did.
You helped me.
And you were here.
I was here.
Speaking of help, not a single person asked me or anybody on the leadership team for any help, which is something we'd like to change. So if you listen to the podcast and you're struggling, whether there's a language barrier or you're not a good test taker or you just need a little bit help, We would rather you come to us and say, hey, listen, I listen to the podcast, but I'm struggling right now. Can you help me? I would be more than willing to help you to understand the questions better or help you with the process elimination. Some people just aren't good test takers.
Yeah.
But the thing is through Connect, I could see how many times somebody took the test, right? And how long it took you to take the test. So when you're taking the test 2 times in a minute, over and over and over and over and over again, and you're answering like one of the easy questions where if you listen to the podcast, you probably would know the answer. It gives me a reason to feel like maybe you didn't listen to the podcast and you're just trying to take the test to get you 1%. So this was week number 1. You know, we'd like to keep running with this and just see how it all shakes out. Definitely was an eye opener. You know, one thing I did notice, it didn't boost our listens up at all. So I feel like the people that took the test were, you know, maybe we got a few more listens out of that, but the listens were kind of in line with what they have been. I feel like there's a lot of people outside of JFW that listen to the podcast. I would love to give them the test.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Right.
So yeah, interesting results. I would like to read real quick and then we could get everybody else's input on this. I would like to read off the names of the people who took and passed the test on the first try, because that's a big deal. Bob Marnian, Omar Reyes, Robert Lincoln, Potter, Chris Beam, John Jordan, Bree Baldridge, Joanne Leonard, Edward Cabral, Gerardo Sanchez, Todd Dull, Casey Guthrie, J.R. Sands, Manuel De La Torre. I want to point out, Manuel started on the 15th. He passed the podcast first try.
Awesome.
Matt Cummins, John Moore, Carlos Meza, Andrick Andrade, Armando Del Val, George Potkeeter, Gabe Colmanero, Dwayne Sand, Fabian Sotelo, Troy Holmes, Jason Gamage, Eric Eichner, Jack Oquendo Mejia, Chili Dog, Valentino Belli, and Andrew Berger. 30 people that got 100% on their first try. I did ask a couple of the people, hey, wow, like, nice job. I see you passed the podcast in the first try. How'd you do it? The people all answered the same. I just listened to the podcast and took the test, you know? But like I said, some people are good test takers, some are not, and there might have been some language barriers and stuff like that. So, Jim, you were pretty vocal about, hey, maybe this test is a bad idea, you know? So I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, I'll jump off the bridge, Jam, because I started the meeting here going, I don't think it's right. I don't think we should be doing the test. You know, that's just my opinion. You know, you didn't come here to take a test, right? And, you know, that's not being a truck driver. I ask you all the question. I just want to be a driver. Can't I just drive? Do I have to, you know, listen to a podcast and take tests and do all the other stuff? And then, you know, you kind of addressed them. Is there a language barrier or some people not good test takers? You know, when you listen to something, do you learn better reading it than you do listening to it? There's all that stuff. And is it fair? And, you know, my big thing is I really want people to ask for help, but we want to listen to the podcast.
Right.
But I'm going to, you know, why you were going over that, because I knew you were going to go over the very next line in our discussion here. I'm already pissed off about. And this is the damn reason we want you to listen to the podcast,
Right.
and take the test and be better truck drivers. Because I just think the whole group of guys running to Redmond, guys and gals running to Redmond. And our next thing here in our discussion here, you guys, is Redmond drivers parking in Fruita. Do not drive over the sidewalk. The hotel is complaining. Right off, I'm not up there. I don't know if you can make the turn in and out. I don't know where the hotel is at Fruita. I've never been there. But what the hell are we doing on the sidewalk? What driver puts his truck and trailer on a sidewalk? I mean, it just blows me away. We have this complaint. You're not good enough not to drive your truck over a damn sidewalk. And I hope I'm wrong. I'm hope that the sidewalk is 15 feet out in the driveway and you have no choice of driving over it. I hope there's a great excuse why we're driving over the sidewalk. But that's the reason for the podcast.
Yeah. You know what I'm worried about, Jim, is I'm pretty sure they're parking in like a big dirt lot
Mm-hmm.
and they're just driving out, not through a driveway. They're just driving out onto the street.
Right, Dave? I mean,
That's what I'm worried about.
What are we doing? You know, and I don't have any details. I'm going by this statement.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are having a safety meeting podcast to address this. You know, please do not drive on the sidewalk at this hotel. You know, you represent all truck drivers. You represent JFW. You know, all our names, whether it's, you know, our name on the truck or not, everybody knows JFW, and you're driving over the sidewalk. That's all the better you are. And like I said, I hope there's other circumstances, but you know, as we take the test, should this be on the test, Jim?
Sure.
You know, driving over the sidewalk, should it be on the test? How do we know that you listened to the podcast and we came up with the idea to have you take a test so we know you're not one of the guys driving over the sidewalk? You've been told, right?
Yeah, because the hotel isn't saying that they're driving over the curb and creating ruts or something. They're saying a sidewalk.
A sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right? So by me coming to you guys this morning and going, I don't think the test is fair, we shouldn't take the test. Am I just off my rocker? We've come up with a way to solve some of these problems. The best way we can do it. Because even if we use Connect and just send out a message, you know, I sent out a message on Connect to all 7 of those drivers. I only heard back from 2 of them. You know, and I wasn't after a response, but did the other ones even see my thank you?
Right.
You know, I don't know, you guys. I'm struggling with being better, you know, and trying to come up and not be intrusive and not piss people off. And, you know, my morning started with just, you know, a large group of complaints. That's one of the questions from one of the drivers. What does your day look like? I have answers.
Usually starts with Jim and Dave yelling at us. Just kidding.
Right. So yeah, Jam, I know you asked the question, you know, what did I think of it or discuss that more? I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job discussing it, but because I just keep flopping back and forth. What are we doing? But you know, Dave mentioned earlier, you know, before we even started the podcast, if we're doing nothing, absolutely nothing, and I know that's that line, you know, doing nothing, that's the same thing over and over and over. That's just a definition of insanity.
Right.
We're trying to do something different here.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's listening to this podcast, we're trying to be a better trucking company. And if you don't believe that, you know, we've said it over and over. I don't want to lose any drivers over it, but maybe this isn't the place.
Huh.
Maybe this is not your culture. And you know, we have a lot of amazing drivers, and everybody makes mistakes and has their quirks. We have that in our creed. We try to not address that. What in the creed?
Celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work.
Yeah, respect that. And we do. I think we do a good job of that. But we have to try to be better. You know?
I can't lie to you. Sometimes it's hard to respect those with whom you work when you deal with problem after problem after problem, and those choices that they made were so poor that it gets so frustrating that you lose your temper. You know,
I've been guilty of that. I think we've all probably been guilty of that a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, for myself, I've always had to work on my temper. I've stepped back. I have, you know, the safety team. Dave does a really good job of it, addressing a lot of the situations that, you know, I used to have to address, and I don't, because I'd get mad, you know, and you take that step back. But a lot of the points I'm to now, instead of getting mad, I just give up. I don't care, you know, and hate to feel that way, because that's what I'm preaching, is to be better. And, you know, in the last podcast, I hope I care more today than I did my very first day when I started. And it's rough to keep up. You know, I know several drivers that are just have given up, you know, I just drive, you know, and that bummer. 'Cause at some point, you know, you were probably hurt or frustrated, like you said, Dave.
Well, I think it's important for us to remain consistent with who we are. Luckily we have each other to, when one of us are down or don't want to deal with something, somebody else will step up. But, I believe the podcast knowledge challenge, it was put out there to benefit people for being engaged. Is the test too hard for some people? Maybe. I mean, we could adjust that, but we want people to listen. If you listen, you should be able to pass. We might have some kinks to work out, but I like to throw a survey out just to hear from the people what they think,
Yep.
Yeah. So here we are, week 1. There's your results.
Right. And it is just week 1.
It is just week 1.
That's the reason we're not making it mandatory or, we didn't put all the parameters just to start. We gave everybody till March 1st. And not on the test. I'm just saying we're trying to work with everything. And instead of just, like I said, jumping off the bridge and, when you hit bottom, you hit bottom.
Yeah.
We'd love people to ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask a coworker, ask your buddy, ask who you park next to, the guy you're running with. Hey, did you answer these questions? I'm struggling with them.
I got to point something out. I think I'm going to launch an investigation on this, but Chili Dog, Andrick, and Edward all passed the test on the first try. I think those guys cheated.
But isn't that
good for them? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a brotherhood.
We want you to pass the test, but our whole goal is for you to talk about it. If those 3 talked about it,
right,
and even if they gave each other the answers, you were engaged. Right. Somehow you were engaged.
And they're going to be safer.
Yes. That's
Absolutely.
the whole.
We're not encouraging cheating.
We are encouraging to ask a question and talk about it, though. Be better, right?
Absolutely. All right. We've already addressed the sidewalk at the hotel in Fruta, Colorado. If you didn't hear that, I'll say it one more time. Fruta, Colorado.
Like I said, I hope there's some other circumstances that I don't have.
No doubt. Super Dave, you brought this one up. What kind of grace period do we have on DOT med cards if they expire?
None.
There's no grace period.
I was going to make a joke there and say 1 year, but no.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Right? I don't want to. Make some people think the other, but no. The day that the expiration is on your card, that is your expiration. And if you get pulled over in a traffic check or maybe at a port of entry and they run your license, they will check that. It's attached to your license. It comes up on their computer and you will be red tagged, put out of service. You will not be able to say, I'll go to the doctor today. Nope. They put you out of service.
Yep. Yeah. You need an Uber or what's the group of Sam's friends say, Dave, for your shoes?
Lamborghinis.
Yeah, you'll need some
Lamborghinis.
Lamborghinis or an Uber because you ain't driving that truck.
You're going to be driving some Lamborghinis wherever you go.
Now, who's responsible for making sure that med card is up to date?
The driver is. We do a great job of reminding people. My med card just renewed the beginning of January, and I think I got a reminder from Linda, a reminder from Tracy. I mean,
and if you're going to Dr. Deb up the street, you get 1 week. She moved it to 1 week. You get a reminder from her.
Oh, yes, you're right. I got a reminder from Dr. Deb too.
Yeah, but she quit because she was doing it like a month ahead or more, right, Dave, originally. And she quit doing that because she thought the reminder was too early and you blow it off. So she sends it out a week. So, and she can squeeze you in someplace in the week.
I don't get a reminder from her ever. It's weird.
Do you renew before the week?
Probably.
That's probably why.
Yeah. That was my next thing I was going to bring up is don't wait for the day before your DOT card expires. When we call you up and be like, hey, you can't go out of town tomorrow and because you don't have a DOT card, it's not a good day to have to go deal with that. So.
No, because we really can't dispatch you in case you weren't approved. You didn't get it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to dive a little deeper on that, everyone knows now they've tied that so tight to your license. They just run your license and your license is pulled.
Yeah, your license gets suspended
exactly.
Also.
Yeah. So, then you're dealing with your med card and you got to go get your license renewed. And put back online. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to not take care of your business. So take care of your business.
And I was going to joke when you said who's responsible. You know, one of the wash techs in the wash bay will go ahead and remind you for your med card.
Right.
I was just joking, you know, but that's not who reminds you. It is definitely up to you.
Yep. We've talked about this before, but let's bring it up again. Your load gauges, please use them.
Hogwash.
We're actually going to post the load gauge video JR made today on Connect. So look out for that. It's very simple to calibrate them. I was impressed with a lot of the guys that were loading at yard 23 yesterday. They were getting on the scale, stopping with their steers on, stopping with their drives on, and then stopping with the whole truck on to get their weights.
Good for them.
That led me to believe they were making sure their gauges were calibrated. So good job, guys and girls.
And was that fast?
There was no trucks waiting to get on the scale. Let's just say that.
Sure.
Yeah, it was fast. It was pause, and one more pause.
Right.
Yeah, it took no time
Right.
out of their day. So also very important that you communicate with the pits and the plants and have good communication, right? We want you to go in there. If you've never been somewhere before, let them know you knew. Let them know, hey, listen, I've never been here before. You know, can you direct me to the sand pile, or can you let me know where to dump? If you're having trouble communicating with that loader operator or the pit or the plant, you know, and you're able to get out, you don't want to get out at like Morrison or someplace you're not allowed out of the truck, but feel free to get out and go have a conversation with the managers, the plant operators, you know, talk to your co-drivers, stuff like that. But communication is key everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
Helping your fellow drivers out. So, Soup, you want to take this one? Because I know we were talking about it yesterday. Do you remember?
I mean, that's about being a team. I know we touched on it, but and again, I'm going back to being an everyday leader. If you recognize somebody that needs a hand, help them. You know, get out of your truck and ask them at least. Maybe they might say, no, I'm good, you know, but they might also say, yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much for your help. And again, it's helping the team get rolling. It's good karma. It's, you know, the shoe will always be on the other foot at some point. Maybe you will be the guy. You will need a hand. You will need some chaining help or to get out of a mud hole or, you know, shoveling your trailer if something's frozen up inside. But I mean, it's just doing the right thing, guys.
Yeah. The example I've heard you use in the interview, Soup, is, you know, you got time to go drop your load off and you'll have time to get up to the pit one more time to run that late load. And you know, you're on a mission and you want to make that money. And you leave, we'll say Young's Ranch now. You leave Idaho Springs and on your way down, you see a JFW truck broke down, right? Do you pull over and help him, or do you go deliver that load so you can get back up and get that one more load? What answer's right? And I've heard you say in the interview, well, either one is ultimately okay, you know, because we have other people to support that driver. But yeah, stop and help that other driver out. That's what I would do, you know, because like you said, you may need help the next time, you know, or, you know, maybe it'll take 30 seconds for you to help that driver and you could both go get one more load.
Exactly.
You know, there's, you know, I've asked the questions several times, you know, and I always believe what we do is just not black and white. There's just not a set of procedures. And when you see somebody, you know, sitting alongside the road, and you guys both just said that, you know, could he just, you know, Mikey's on his way or Ricky's on his way and, you know, the truck's not running and it's, you know, 20 degrees out. Could he use a coat?
Right.
You know, or, hey, I got an extra sandwich. Can I leave you my sandwich?
Right.
Or, you know, hey, you pull over and I just talked to the shop and they're asking me to
cage a brake.
I don't know how. Can you help me?
Right.
Help me? Absolutely. Well, caging a brake might be, you know, 10 minutes or it might be an hour because the bolt's froze in the brake pod. You got to hit it out. You know, you can't get it. It's an older, just going to make this up. It's an older brake pod. You're having trouble getting it in the notch to lock down. And you spend an hour with that driver helping him out. But our shop didn't have to drive 2 hours. You know, nobody had to go to the rescue. The whole bit charges for an hour.
Put some time down.
You know, you helped a guy out. Saved us all a lot of money in the big picture, you know, but that's just a courtesy, you know, and again, I don't think that's black and white, you You never know the situation.
Yep.
Just like Super Dave said, holler at him on the radio. Hey, I'm good. Okay. But just don't run by him at 50 miles an hour.
Right.
And
Smell
not
you
do a
later.
damn thing about it.
Yeah.
I think that could be, any driver alongside the road. I think, a Coleman or, the guy pulling fuel, there's a lot of situations. Should you possibly spend your day trying to help everybody alongside the road? Maybe not. That's a little difficult, but that's back to your black and white. It's not black and white. Look at be proactive, reactive, and not, and sometimes you got to be reactive in a situation like that, but
Sure.
proactive. So, yeah.
You don't have a sign on the door that says courtesy patrol, huh?
Right, Dave? I
AAA.
Huh.
So I mean, I helped a lady out one time. I think I've told the story in New Mexico coming back with the family, and, she was trying to change a tire alongside the road. And I was like, okay, I'll just stop and help. That's just not right. I know the town, is 100 miles away yet. And I stopped, and, she didn't have the right deals to connect together the bars to get her spare tire down. And so I tore my pickup apart, all the jack stuff. And I was there almost 2 hours changing this lady's tire when it should have been like 15 minutes, you guys. I can run a jack and put a tire on. I'm like, phew, okay, it's all okay, And then she went to leave, and she'd left the key on, and the truck was dead.
Oh, no.
So I had to spin around on the highway and give her a jump. But I get back with the girls, all three girls, and Holly's in the truck and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, everybody remind me never to stop and help anybody again.
So that's funny. Here's a funny story for you. And this is back in 2018. I've already met with you guys about coming back to work here. I was going wheeling for the first time with my brother-in-law, rest in peace, up in Idaho Springs. So I was driving up to Evergreen to meet him, and then we were going to go to Idaho Springs. And I see this little car pulled over with a flat tire, the mom and two toddlers out, by the car. I pull over, I walk back down to him, change a flat tire. She's barely keeping an eye on the kids. They're like over by the fog line. I'm like, will you bring your kids over here? Anyway, get her going, drive up, meet my brother-in-law, go to the trailhead, and we run into these people, and I have my JFW hat on, and the girl says to me, oh, you work for JFW? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, my ex-boyfriend used to work there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I was just talking to my brother-in-law, about changing that lady's flat tire, and they were like, yeah, we saw you doing that. You drive that white Cadillac? I'm like, yeah. So it was just really funny, the JFW connection, and they saw me, changing the tire, and we're on the same trailhead I've never even been wheeling before.
Isn't it bizarre, Jam, those circumstances? I mean, a similar story, or it, obviously makes me think of it. This is about 5-6 years ago. Sam and I were running around. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and we were all off. And we pull up to Lowell and 144th, and I look over, and as we were coming up to the stop, Sam actually notices one of the tires on the car super flat, you know what I mean? Or very, very low. It wasn't flat yet. And they were on our passenger side. And I said, Sam, I'll honk. Roll down your window and tell him. And he gets their attention and is able to tell them, they got a flat. And they definitely older couple, right? Man and woman. And you could tell they pulled off, and I'm like, they're going to need help, Sam. Right. So I was in the go straight lane and nobody was there. So I turned right and I followed them. And sure enough, they turned into a parking lot in an apartment complex there. And we get out, and I just told Sam, I said, let's just help them, and they're on their way. They just spent Thanksgiving with their daughter. They're on their way to Kansas because that's where they came from. And he's just super thankful for the help. And he hands me a business card. He's got an insurance company in Kansas, and his last name is Goodenkoff. And I'm like, oh, so funny. I hadn't seen this name in years. I went to school with a Goodenkoff. And he's like, a girl? And I'm like, yeah, Sheila. And he's like, that's my daughter. And Sam goes, oh my God, I go to school with a Goodenkoff. And it's Sheila's daughter. It was the weirdest thing. They gave us 2 loaves of banana bread, and it was just great karma. You know what I mean? And
how often do you make a 3-generation
right
tire fix?
Right. I'm like, oh my God, this is weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So strange.
A note from Casey, when you want to check your oil before you start your truck up on your pre-trip, really that's typically the first thing I would do, pop the hood, check your oil. Once you know that's good, then start your truck up. You don't want to start your truck up before you check your oil. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it just made me think. I don't have any notes on it. Bump your tires too. Grab that hammer. Don't kick the tires. Bump your tires.
Yep.
Use that hammer. Check it out. You should have checked it out the night before. Run around them in the morning. If you checked them that night, should be good in the morning, but you still have to check them. So,
C-Mex is up and running again for you C-Mex drivers. And if you're not a C-Mex driver now, you certainly can become one. That's another nice piece of daily work that we got. But because it's a new year and we stopped, we took a break before the end of last year. You do need to renew your site specific for C-Mex.
Yep, absolutely. And it's because that's doing the little video that me and you've done, Dave, right?
Yes.
So you got to go inside the office, watch the video. I think it's 15 minutes, and gives you a card for the year and stuff. They're usually pretty friendly. You ring the bell, or at least when we were there, ring bell and tell them what you need to do, and they get you taken care of.
Yep. I'm going to skip this next topic because we've already talked about what we got going on right now.
Okay.
And then prescriptions. You guys want to talk about that?
Man, as upset as Jim was over the other, I'm just as upset over the prescriptions. So,
Yeah, that's some bullshit right here.
Yeah. All I can say is we're working on it. You know, we've heard back from the insurance company, and I mean, I guess just to let everybody know, everybody needs to know. For those of you that chose the HRA plan, the health reimbursement plan on our Cigna, not the health savings account, but the health reimbursement account, it says on the bottom of the booklet for prescriptions, there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 deductibles.
And that was the booklet we gave out, just so everybody knows.
That Flood and Pete made.
Yes, that Flood and Pete made. And now we're being told that we don't have any assistance on that there are no tiers until we reach our full maximum out-of-pocket deductible. And on that plan, everyone knows that was an $8,000 deductible for the single person, which JFW is ponying up the last $3,000. We've just offered to do that to keep it comparable to last year's plan.
Sure.
But we stumbled onto this via a couple people, and we're like, what? So we've contacted the insurance company, and they're like, oh, that was a misprint. And we feel like idiots, or I'll speak for myself. I feel like an idiot. There was 5 of us that sat through multiple meetings with our insurance agents, and we didn't even know there was a plan that was available that you couldn't get assistance on your prescriptions. I mean, I've never even heard of that, right? They say lots of places do that. I've never heard of that. Yeah. I mean, my entire life, I go get a prescription, and I'm making it up. It could be $150 prescription, and, if that's a really expensive one, you may need to pay $39. Or, it's a $20 prescription and you pay a $3 copay, or whatever the deal is, right? It always kind of varies, but there's always some type of assistance. And they're like, boom, there's none. And we're like, what are you talking about? It's in our booklet. Is that even possible? And so they're digging into it. It's not done yet. And
yeah,
we'll have to definitely do an update once we get more information.
Yeah, I don't feel dumb. I feel deceived. I was one of those 5 people in that room, and the way that we go through these plans with a fine-tooth comb and try to make sure we have all the bases covered, that would have stuck out like a sore thumb. That would have been like like the smoke would have been coming out of our ears, the horns would be going off. There's no way we would have agreed to that, because that's not good.
No, we never would have done that.
Yeah, and they know that about us.
Yeah.
So, I know we're going direct to the insurance company. I'd like to hear more what Flood and Pete has to say, because they sold us a bill of goods.
Well, that's who we're working with.
Okay.
They're going to Cigna.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry, Jim.
You might be touching on what I'm about to say, so you go first.
I just want to make sure we don't skip. So if you need a prescription, you haven't filled one this year, please be proactive and check with MedRx. We have some coupons I think we can get. Talk to your pharmacy. Which pharmacy? A lot of pharmacies have coupons.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to get your medicine knocked down.
See if it's available in generic.
Exactly, yeah. Dave. Yeah, all of that. And then if it's I don't know what medicine some people are on. Maybe I can't promise this, but maybe we can help in the meantime until we get this solved. It's hurtful. We've tossed out the words, deceived and duped, and, we feel dumb about it. We do our best, and I think that's what's driving some of the anger is we do our best to protect you guys as much as we can to keep the costs as low as we can and help you. And we were it just went through the cracks.
Dude.
And I don't know if it went through the cracks because
it's in writing that we have a $15 copay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
the tiers are in writing.
But they have a sorry, Jim.
No.
They have a get out of jail free card because in the back of that pamphlet, they say they've done their best to be sure all the wording is correct, but there may be mistakes in it that they're not responsible for. So, I mean, we'll see if they do the right thing. I know if that was a company that Jim and I had made that mistake, we would 100% do the right thing.
That's the other hard part is we always want to do right by everybody. And if we made a mistake, we're responsible for it. I've seen it time and time again where we pony up because a mistake was made by us. I had the lady from Douglas County State Shed call me yesterday like, hey, I was told to give you a call about this repair, to the rafter. She's like, did you want us to file a claim? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Don't file a claim. Just send us a bill. She's like, oh, thanks for, just being so easy to work with and, take care of it.
I mean, that's what needs to be done. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to mention it just about the prescriptions again is just make sure you're checking, before you get the prescriptions. Cause there again, that's the reason this podcast is important. We can't call every person, but this is the quickest way to reach everybody so they know about the prescriptions. So you can possibly tell your friend, tell your buddy, tell whatever, tell your wife, anybody, before you go, be prepared to be an advocate for yourself, for your prescriptions. Make sure you're asking the right questions to the pharmacist. Just don't go in and go, hey, I always get this medicine and it costs X. It's going to be more than that because your prescriptions are not covered at this point. So,
yeah, I had that happen one time. I got prescribed something and there wasn't a generic form yet. And it was like, I went in because the doc gave me like 30-day free sample. I'm like, oh, this works really good. Then I go to get it. They're like, oh yeah, $647. I'm like, no. Like what supply is that? Is that like for 10 years?
Right.
No, that's just for a month. I'm like,
wow.
Nope, I'll be sick. And then I went to my general doctor, my primary care physician, and he's like, oh, we could just give you something similar that has a generic, and it's like $9.
Sure. Yeah. Cause I mean, it is a big difference. Like, I don't know what pharmacies are in the Safeways, and maybe they're part of the MedX part, but they're a lot of the medication. You're like you said, it's $600. You go in there, it's $39.
Right.
And you're like, how the heck can you do that?
I know you keep saying MedRx. GoodRx is another one. I think Walgreens.
GoodRx or GoodRx.
There's probably two of them. Yeah, there's probably all sorts of, but I know there is another prescription I get where if I went through insurance, it's like $150, and then not going through insurance and using the GoodRx, it's like $30.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Just trying to get the word out. Make sure you just don't, and please just don't go. I mean, unless you have to have the pill that day, if you get there and somebody tells you it's $600, either ask questions or don't buy it, and let's get this figured out. Hopefully you don't have to have that medicine by 3:00 that day or something. So.
Yep, just rub some dirt in it and call it. Just kidding. I don't have anything for what's next, but we do have a pretty hefty questions from the audience section today. You got another thing, Jim?
I have what's next.
Let's get it.
Okay. All right. February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Hey, Super Dave, will you be my Valentine?
I have one. Thanks, Jim.
You could have two. You could have a work Valentine and a home Valentine.
And then probably for the banks and the paychecks and stuff, February 17th, it's Washington's birthday, and I believe we call that President's Day.
Hey.
So got 2 days coming up, one of them for your sweethearts and the other one for your bank account.
Speaking of bank accounts, everyone should have gotten their W-2s.
Yep.
And I kind of got a kick out of it. Sam called me yesterday. He worked at Walmart over the summer. And he's like, "Hey Dad, I'm letting you know I got my taxes." I'm like, "You got your taxes?" He's like, "Yeah, Walmart sent me my taxes." And I'm like, "That's your W-2, bud." And he's like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Well, they have to tell you what they paid you, right? And what you paid in taxes and all that." And God, I love taxes in Indiana, man. He killed it. He didn't have to pay hardly anything in
Nice.
payroll taxes and federal and all that. Yeah, it's
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
Good state. So it was fun. I got to educate him a little bit. Why are there 4 copies? Well, one's for your tax preparer, one's for you, one gets turned back into the state or the government, the feds. So yeah, good stuff.
I don't do any of that. I just like QuickBook TurboTax.
TurboTax.
There you go.
Yeah. TurboTax. Yep.
All right. Questions from the audience. Hey there, JFW crew. My name is Mike Powell. I've listened to every podcast trucking down the road every Thursday. I would drive for you guys, but unfortunately I live in Sedgwick. My question is, would it be possible to stop in sometime and meet you all? Well, Mike, number 1 is absolutely. Please stop in. I'd love to meet you. Number 2, I apologize. This was a Spotify comment made like 2 months ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah, I don't check those comments very often, apparently. Maybe I will. I think he's the only one that's made a comment on Spotify. Well, no. JR made a comment. Your friends from Florida made a comment one time.
Chuck and Chris.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely stop in. We'll probably throw you a hat and maybe even a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, Mike. And I know Jam said it, but sorry we missed it. Lots of avenues, right? Right.
Absolutely.
So if you are listening every day, here's your big shout out.
There you go. Mike Powell. We used to have a Powell, a couple Powells that
Yeah.
worked here.
Yes.
Uncle
we do.
Freddie and Leroy.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hope they're doing well.
Yeah, I heard from Fred maybe 6 weeks ago or something. Sounded
Yeah.
like he was all right.
Yeah.
And, all right, Ricardo Cordova, 0089. Question for the brothers. Being that you two are the owners and also work here, what is your responsibilities day to day? What does a normal workday consist of for you two here at JFW? Man, that word normal cracks me up.
There's nothing normal about our days, huh, Jim?
Not a thing.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see. It starts off problem solving, and then we move to problem solving, and then we handle dealing with problems, and then we try and figure out a way to prevent some problems. And then we probably have lunch.
That's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
Sometimes it is. I hear him talking all the time.
Chick-fil-A's
What do you want for lunch today?
Well, Chick-fil-A's drive-through is closed. That was a problem.
Right? Right. Yeah. Never a problem. Won't miss lunch. So
Yeah.
no, I mean, honestly, like a fast rewind, like pretty much the minute I wake up, I'm grab my phone. I'm looking at Coors, what the can is at, be sure that we're getting Coors taken care of because we've, had issues there and it's just a habit. And now I've created a habit to see who's moving and who's not on Samsara on the Utah run
Redmond. Yeah.
and making sure we have no problems there, and then easing our way to work. And I obviously I do check emails before I leave the house as well. Now we've got Connect on there, and then we get to work, and there is a lot of problem solving here that, we try and be proactive and eliminate problems or try and educate or deal with stuff that way. But I mean, like this insurance thing, I mean, we probably burned an hour on it, 3 of us yesterday, just trying to figure out what to do on the prescriptions, and those are unforeseen problems that isn't what we set up. That isn't what we promised our people. That isn't what we bought. You know what I mean? And it is infuriating when you have to deal with those things and try and hold your composure and do things the right way. And, always just eyes and ears, you see someone leaving the yard and their tailgate's open or, hoses dragging the deck plate. People think we're picking on them. These things are for a reason. There's, and sometimes it's mind boggling. Like, how can those hoses be dragging the deck plate when we talk about that being the number one thing, right? How did we leave the yard with our tailgate open when we did a pre-trip or how did we miss it and we did a pre-trip? Things like that. And, we're constantly discussing ebbs and flows and motions of how do we get better? How do we continue to train better? How do we hire better? How do we incentivize creating better pay, like with the bonus structure we came out with? And, we're going back and forth this morning about the listening to the podcast for the 1% and things like that. But our whole goal is to find work, create a great place to work, a safe haven for everyone to work at, have fun along the way, and just make it a great environment. And some days that works really well, and some days it's tough, but yeah. I mean, yesterday I probably spent 2 hours working on the Bronco to plow the snow and ice on the north side of the building over there, working on the batteries. So just, it could vary, I've been out and help everybody get the yellow iron going at Rolla and just things like that. I think every day is a challenge. If you show up here and you're on the leadership team and you're looking for something to do, you're not looking very far, because there's always something to be done. There's always someone to help. There's always someone to teach. There's always someone to educate, and hopefully learn something along the way. We learn something every day, and sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not so good, but by gosh, we're learning something along the way, communicating with our customers, dealing with our customers, educating them. Right now we're in the middle of Mike's pulling, he's got 0096 in here, and we're putting a 2-line wet kit on it because we're picking up a contract that starts Monday for some grain pickups at, I think, 7 additional independent breweries.
for Wilbur Ellis.
Yeah. So we're working hand in hand with Linda, getting pricing together. JR went out and ran a couple of loads with the other client that has the haul, and just, you name it. Our fingertips are in everything.
Yeah. Ricardo, I just thought it was a great question. Love to talk about things like that, because it's what we do and it's become our passion. We don't have really too many hobbies outside of work here. And I tried to just write down some quick things, just type in an email to kind of go over it. And, I think what I found by starting to write the email here is, one of the things is it takes a village to do what we do. And a lot of what me and Dave do is we're checking on the villagers, to either make sure they're all right, or they're doing their jobs, or something hasn't been missed. And Dave touched on it, I get up at 3:40 every day. I got to be out the door at 4:30 to be here or pick up Dave. And by 4:20 to 4:30, I have my company radio on, and I've tried to review the connect emails and text to see what's going on from the night before. So that's the start of my day, and lots of times we have people call on the radio, and I've answered somebody at 4:30 before dispatch gets here, and then, just in that piece, I pick up Dave and we review again, what's happened that night or what needs to be done during the day. And then by the time you're here, we're just not, my word is flooded or inundated, just with all the daily things that need to be done. And you're checking on, each person. And I have to, throw kudos out. Our team is great, but, they're immersed in their job. So what have they missed? What snuck by? Those are the things we were looking for. For example, yesterday, I stopped to get fuel in my pickup. Pump 3 wasn't working. Well, we can't have that for the afternoon. Luckily, we have Scooby that's part of the maintenance. I can text Scooby or call Scooby, and he comes over, but he's loading trucks, right, and tarping, so he didn't get to it the afternoon. But that's something that isn't missed. Luckily I found it. Part of my morning yesterday is I spent 2 hours renewing the fleet license plates. So that was 110 trucks that I had to go through. That fortunately, I have Holly that set up a lot of the VINs. She renews that, makes sure license plates, makes sure trucks are in and out of our list. But that's 110 trucks checking off that every one of them got renewed, and I'm not renewing one that's sold. Well, whether I'm fast or slow at it. Took me 2 hours yesterday morning to go over that. And then you hit the finalization button. And what did I tell you? That's 448,000 due in February for the fleet. So then I got this little pit in my stomach.
Go smoke a cigarette.
I'm like, okay, how many trucks can we get to Redmond? How many loads of C-Mix can we haul? How fast can we get the blue salt out of the deal? It's plant 12. What can we do to replace the 438,000? And then you're digging deep, Ricardo. Then I'm immediately going to the bank accounts. I'm checking cash flow. I'm checking how, is there any customers behind? What does that look like for the next 30 days? Does that mean we have to pull out of the line of credit? There's this multiple layers of the onion that I go through each day. I go down and I report it to Dave. So Dave's has that knowledge that Mikey comes to him and go, and I'm making this up, we just blew an engine. I want to spend 18,000. What do you think? Dave's go, no, you can't do it this month. We're paying for license plates. There's so many things that in the communication and we take it, me and Dave take it for granted. I'm speaking for Dave because we've done it for so long. We just fall in the groove.
It's just the next stone that needs overturned and you do it. I mean, I spent 2 hours on a legislative committee Zoom meeting yesterday because all the legislators are in session that have all lost their freaking minds, and they're going after more climate change shit hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go hard here in Colorado with Trump in and trying to lighten and remove restrictions. Colorado's going to double down. Polis has 24 months left in office, and he is going to make a name for himself. And it sucks. And some of the stuff he's going after, it is ridiculousness.
Yep.
It is absolute ridiculousness.
And we're trying to run our business and we're having to do this stuff over here because it's important. And I'm sure I probably interrupted Dave, but one of the things that popped up during the CMCA meeting yesterday is the mayor of Vail. He's trying to get on the ballot or get pushed through. If you get caught in Vail with not a set of chains on, it's a $20,000 fine. That's
20,000.
That's not going to solve anything, you guys. So Dave's, whether he speaks on that or pushes with the other members or whatever. So there's just a lot, and I'm not trying to make it like we do any more than anybody else, but it was a great question, and when you try to break down your day, there's just a lot in it. And then, on top of all that, we're trying to make sure that, you guys are all happy. You want to go do your job. You want to spend, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours in your truck. You're okay with chaining for, 6 hours of your trip back from Redmond and all that stuff. And then on top of all that, you've done your pre-trip and made sure your tailgate's shut.
Right? The little things. We're all a chain, like we talked about.
It's the village.
At the annual party.
Yep.
We're a chain, and we're connected together. And if we're not doing our part and you're not doing yours, we're a broken mess.
Yep. And to add, like you said at the party, Dave, to add some challenges, we have to throw a couple sharks in the tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
to keep everything going.
Right.
And that's the reason for the test. That's the reason for the extra bump in the safety bonus. We're trying to challenge.
The good news is we got off early yesterday. We got to leave at 5:30.
We did. And then got home at 8 after we said at the 270 hearing committee.
Yep.
That it's a 50-year-old highway. 5 of the bridges that you drive over they're not critical, because if they're critical, they'd have to be shut down, but they need to be fixed. And there's a special fund that Colorado gets from the federal government that when their bridges are in those state of
decay, whatever. Yeah. Demise.
They get money to keep putting patches on them. Yeah. But now that helps them push through to get a project done on a bridge that, is over 50 years old and should be replaced anyway.
But they can't widen that bridge. They have to put in exactly what they tear out.
Yeah.
And that means they're not widening it until they get their EIS back. Their EIS is their environmental impact study, which I'm not going to mention which president pushed that through 4 years ago, but it has basically slowed construction in any state to basically a crawl. I mean, they started the environmental impact study on this on 270 in 2022, and they don't expect it to be done until 2026.
Yeah.
They might start repairs in 2027 on 270, all because of the environmental impact study.
And I want to throw this out, Dave. It's a 50-year-old highway that's been there.
Yeah.
It's made its impact. It's had its impact. You should be able to visualize your impact. We're not in environmental impact study. We're not deciding to go through a new field in the middle of Parker. We're trying to fix a highway that's been here for 50 years.
Yeah.
The impact is done.
Right? I mean, you look at it and it's like, okay, 270 in York. As you're moving east, you have a wastewater treatment facility on the right. You have a mined out gravel pit that's a lake now on the left. Move a little further down, you cross the Platte River. Move a little further down, you have the Burlington Bridge, or, bridge over Burlington Canal. Then you have all of Suncor on your right, and you have a trash transfer station on your left. And we're worried about an environmental impact. You know what I mean? But that's the society we live in today. And what really sucks is I drilled the CDOT guy that's basically in charge, and he said, we can't change what well we're drinking from midstream. We're already drinking from this well. We have to continue. And what he means by that is, even though Trump is releasing or easing the regulations on a lot of that stuff, or doing away with so many things that have just slowed any type of construction, they can't just change and go with Trump's theory because they're already in the one that they had. So we're stuck. I mean, who knows? Trump's 4 years might be over by the time we even start construction on 270.
Yeah.
All because of the environmental impacts.
And Ricardo, you ask a simple question of what do we look like as it, or what do we do?
That was
as
just
owners, and we still got back around to politics.
Yeah. Our jobs, Ricardo, are becoming more political and more political and more political to save the blue collar workers and businesses like ours here in Colorado. We are a dwindling foundation. I mean, the blue collar small business foundation is crumbling here in Colorado because of the political atmosphere. I mean, we're going tonight between 4 and 6 to an event put on by the CMCA to meet our representatives and our senators that are in the dome downtown, making all the rules for us. And we just want to ask them, because every one of them, all you hear them say is, we want to work on the homeless population and provide lower income housing. Well, how are you providing low income housing when everything you're doing raises the cost of living?
right.
It makes no sense. And they'll throw out another 500 new bills. Last year they pushed 725 bills and they passed like 504 of them. So last year we got 504 new laws and bills passed. How do we even keep up with that? I mean, how is that not costing us more money? So yeah, I've teased everyone that you may read about me in the paper tomorrow, because I might just lose my shit on some senator or representative tonight, because they've lost their minds. They have lost their minds.
I've started a GoFundMe for your bail money. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
we got you covered.
You better get on to the next question, Jim.
I'm moving along. Armando Delval, 0088. When is the JFW rodeo?
I don't think that's a question for us.
That's right. That's for the rodeo committee.
That's right.
But we can try and get an answer for you for next week.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have time to get that.
Yep.
So
Robert Lincoln, 0083. Can the Jake brakes be adjusted in regards to more braking horsepower? Omar Rea has followed that up this morning separately because he drives a Western Star, and he's really trying hard to get his efficiency scores up. With the wear-free braking and the weaker Jake brakes, he's finding it to be more difficult.
Interesting on that, because I didn't think I thought it was recording the use of it.
If your truck's not slowing down
Right.
fast enough with the Jake brakes, you go to the foot brake
Gotcha.
Yep, for the anticipation.
for the
Factor.
wear-free braking.
Yeah.
Well-
so if you're aware that your Jakes aren't as good, don't you just drive differently?
Yeah, and he's working on that. you know, but Bear drives either a Kenworth or a Pete. He's also asking about, are the Jakes able to be
He's in
adjusted?
Kenworth.
Yeah. I mean, both me and Dave talked about Bear's comment, and I hope there's nothing wrong with his Jakes, because from our years of experience, those are the most badass Jakes we've ever had. They're top of the industry. And unless they're a little weak and your truck needs an overhead, which Mike stays up on the overheads, I'm afraid they're not working right.
I agree.
Because I mean, that's
because they have the addition of the mechanical portion of the engine brake in the top of the head, but they also use the turbo in conjunction with that. So I'm worried something's not working on his truck, but I would certainly think all the years of experience that Bear has, he could tell you, wow, the Jake isn't working on this truck. The other truck I was driving 3 months ago kicks its ass. And we would know there's a problem there. As far as adjusting them, if they're adjusted, that you get what you've got. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can they come out of adjustment? They can, but it's usually not that noticeable. You know what I mean? It's a minute difference.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the braking horsepower.
Right.
Yeah.
But we could have something wrong. You know what I mean? Now, the 5 Western Stars, yes, their engine brake horsepower is less than all the rest of the trucks. But that's the reason we put them all with rock trailers. They're all local. They're all on flat land. And I mean, they're more than adequate.
Yeah, and by less, they're less than the pack car model, but they're more in that little engine than anything through history, you know, up to this point, you know, because of how poor the other Jakes were. Yeah. So anybody that's driven an older truck or has their dream of buying their own truck, which is going to be in an older model, they won't have the braking horsepower of the Western Stars.
Oh, wow.
So that's, I think everybody, you know, is just expecting what they have now, not from the past. And there's a big difference. So yeah, I think we need to check on both those, check on Bears and make sure. 'Cause you know,
Bear. Yeah. Just so you guys know, Bear is in one of the new trucks. I believe he moved into it maybe in August or something. So I don't think it's anywhere near 100,000 miles on that truck, but I'm just laughing in my head, Jim. I would love to put one of these guys in one of the C12s.
Oh my God.
And then send them over the hill.
Oh yeah,
right?
Dave. I mean, what we used to have, I guess that's what I'm saying. And I know we're going, when I used to drive, you know, but I mean, and I bring it up all the time. One of the last trucks I drove all day was one of the Freightliners. And I was irritated at how damn good the Jake was. I mean, I had to figure out how to drive because the Jake was so good. And it was grabbing gears. It was, you know, over what I call overspeeding the engine and all sorts of stuff. They were so amazing. So yeah, I guess for Bear, is his Jake not as good as the truck he got out of? That would be like my first question. And is it really functioning well? Do we have something on all the new trucks that we don't know about?
Right.
And everybody's just driving it.
Absolutely. So, it's got 44,000 miles on it. So
yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there's a problem. I really do.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Worried about it now.
We'll have to follow up on that.
Yeah.
Dustin Romero Jr., 0062. He actually, this question was asked recently. Dustin Courier was quick to point that out on Connect. But Dustin Romero Jr. wants to know, would y'all invest in a wrecker to tow our trucks if needed? And I know we just talked about that recently as a group. So take it away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for my part, Dustin, is, you know, yeah, I think we need one. It seems like we have shit towed all the time. And, you know, I've stated it over and over. We have more stuff towed like yearly than we have. Well, go back 5 years and then the previous 10 years compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we have more stuff towed yearly than all 10 years.
Wow.
Is what I'm trying to spit out.
A newer fleet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, you know, but you know, if you do it from an owner standpoint or somebody that's got to invest in the tow wrecker, like, you know, Ricardo asked what our daily duties are, we have to look at that tow wrecker. So what kind of money are we spending on it?
$1 million.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what style do we get? What's it capable of? Like
Rotator.
A rotator. You said it, Jam, $1 million. Then you're like, okay, you got insurance, you got all the other stuff that goes with it. Then when we do need to run it, who's qualified to run it.
Dustin Romero Jr.
Right? Right.
And we're paying him just to sit at home until there is a wreck, and then we can't get a hold of him because he went to lunch. So there's a lot to do with it. But I know there is a lot of companies that have their own tow wreckers, or something that's capable. And then again, you look at the wrecker. Is it capable of pulling our trucks loaded?
Right.
There's the other big thing. It can't be where we separate from the trailer and just are pulling a bobtail.
Right.
It has to be more than that. So yeah, it's not in the stars. Could we use one? Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Dave? I mean, what do you
We just, no matter what, need more bodies.
Yeah.
Everything's possible with more people, but we need more people with more skills, and more things are possible.
Yeah.
Right. We don't really have an equipment problem. We don't really have any other hard problems like that. We have people problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, if anybody noticed the amount of tow wrecker companies that are in business,
Oh boy,
and flourishing, this is the
More than ever, huh?
more than ever or ever. I know we've been told by the tow wrecker guys that the emissions, and because I don't want to say computerized, but the emissions that went into effect is the best thing for their business.
Huh.
Yep.
Wonder if their trucks have emissions. How are they always up and running?
I know some of them don't have to have. They can do some deletes. There is some different rules, but I don't know what you're doing with it.
Got it.
Because if anybody's ever noticed, and I know we brought it up in other podcasts, fire trucks are non-emission.
Mm.
And
the newer ones are, Jim.
are they finally,
Yes,
Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Because they can't take the chance of breaking down, going to a fire. And somebody recognized that that's going to be a problem.
Right.
We need to keep it simple, stupid.
Crazy.
Yep.
This is from Potter. This is more of a request rather than a question for the podcast. Moving forward, can we please be more transparent / notified of any and all changes on the Samsara metrics that can impact our score? It may only be a click of a mouse for you guys to make the changes, but it's a minimum of 30 days for our scores to rebound. If we were notified of those changes prior to the changes, we could have made adjustments on our end as the driver. Thank you.
So I did talk to Potter this morning about this, and mine and Dave's whole goal is just before the bonuses come out to change all the metrics and make sure nobody get their bonuses. That's going to save us a lot of money every month.
Man.
Oh, I'm sorry, Potter. No, actually, I had a good discussion with Potter, and he had a lot of good points, and then we made some points, or I made some points. So everybody has to remember that in this period here before we go live, we will zero all your scores out, and we're not sure how we'll zero it out. We'll either give you 100 and see if your score gets below, the 95 or the 90, or we'll start you at 0 and let's see how quickly you build up. So everybody will be put on the same playing field. One of my concerns to Potter's comments here is if we notify you about the changes we were going to make, we don't get the true metrics of what's happening. We want to catch you guys by surprise. Who's driving really well? Who's driving poorly? And something we brought out in the when we rolled this out is we needed to find out how many drivers were above 90%, how many drivers were above 95%. Well, if we told you that we were going to change the metrics, there's a lot of drivers that would change the way they're driving, and we wouldn't have a base on what's really possible. I mean, we were excited at the rollout there and the end of the year party that we had a large group of drivers that were already attaining that,
Right.
with no insight, with
Right.
no warning. They were already getting that. We were amazed. We were so happy that we had drivers, driving at these numbers, and that's fantastic. I told Potter, though, if we were going to make a large change, we will talk about it on the podcast. This is where the information will get out. We'll discuss, hey, we're going to change the metrics of this. Or, we will recognize if we change the metrics and don't say anything and everybody's scores get trashed, we'll have to fix that. We're monitoring. We have 4 people monitoring 110 driver scores.
Yeah. And I can just say, Jim, not to interrupt you, we're not going to change it without telling someone.
Yeah.
That's just not fair or right.
Yeah.
And we've just sat here talking about how we want to be fair and right.
Yep.
And we haven't changed a thing since the rollout.
Yeah.
We haven't touched a button. We haven't clicked the mouse. We haven't done a thing since the 17th.
Yep.
And so we've got what we've got. Let's get the first month's worth of metrics in here and see how it's going.
Yeah.
And go from there. If we need to address something, we will.
Yep.
You know, so far it looks like everybody's scores are coming up,
Yes.
which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed my group. It's been pretty grassroots, just the way it's all unfolding. You know, people are calling, people are asking, people are posting up their scores in the group chat, you know, looking at the last 7 days versus the last 30 days, quite a big improvement. So as those days from 30 days ago start falling off, I mean, the scores are coming up. So it's been pretty cool to witness.
Yeah. It's, as you say, grassroots, Jim. I think about, you know, the old saying that we had, and I think it came from Mick, is nobody gets up in the morning and goes, I'm going to suck today.
Right.
You know, nobody does that. So when you do initiate a challenge or we do throw this out there, everybody's going to try to be better. Like you said, grassroots, everybody naturally is trying to be better. You know, when I dump my first load and go, you know, hey, I drug both the mud flaps out, I'm going to quit doing that. My next load is better.
Yeah.
You know, or I got stuck in my first load. I'm going to make sure I don't get stuck. I want to be better. Right. So you naturally do that. So that is great news.
Yeah.
You know, love the grassroots.
Yep.
I don't know, grassroots. What's the next word? It's falling into place. There's a movement. A tidal wave.
Yeah. I haven't had to start just singling people out and calling them. It's just been kind of like, oh, I have contact with this driver. Hey, by the way, let's look at your score. Or, you know, hey, I get a message, you know, what can I meet with you later? What can I be doing better? Stuff like that.
Yep. Hey, and then just to throw out there, I was going to mention it, and I'll check with Erica. I don't know how many people know, but she broke her collarbone barely 6 weeks ago. Anyway, she fell again, everybody. Rebroke the repair. She's having surgery tomorrow morning to get that repair. I know she's been trying to be in touch with her group. If you do know you're in her group, can't get a hold of her. Like I said, she has surgery tomorrow. She's trying to, try to be back Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. I know she's reached out to a lot of people in her group. If you're in her group and you haven't been able to get a hold of her, reach out to Jam, reach out to JR, Casey,
yep.
Any one of us, we're here to help.
Yep.
And it's just because she's, been down and out.
Yep.
Not that we're, trying to avoid any of the people or not have you get your score, because we want everybody to get their bonus.
Yeah. We want to give everybody the money.
Absolutely. Want it because it just makes us better.
Yep.
Bottom line. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Safety topic of the week, wearing your seatbelt properly. This isn't nothing new. We see this every once in a while. Everyone's been pretty good about wearing their seatbelts. We got the seatbelt alerts on Samsara. But what some people do, they don't like the seatbelt on their chest. Like for some reason, I don't know if they feel confined or claustrophobic or they don't like it or it's not cool. Whatever it is, they'll pull it down and, hit the little button that takes the tension off. And it's just kind of hanging down. So basically, you now only have a lap belt. You don't have the shoulder harness part of the seatbelt. That's not really adequate if you have an accident. A lot of people, I remember, years ago, people would be like, oh, I'm not going to wear my seatbelt. I feel safe in the truck. Well, what if you have an accident and you're no longer in that seat because you didn't have your seatbelt on? Now you don't have control of the truck. So same thing with that shoulder part. If all you have is the lap part, you're not protecting yourself 100%. Those seatbelts are designed to go across your chest. You could take a little bit of tension off of there, but to have it just completely draped down where now all you have is a lap belt, that's kind of defeating the purpose of the seatbelt. So
it's kind of crazy, Jam, because I have that 74 pickup that Jim's been helping me work on. And when we go for a drive in it, it's a 2-piece lap belt, right? Like it's like an airplane. You have one short little side sticking out and then you have to pull the other side. It's inconvenient. It's a pain in the ass. There's no reminder. There's no seatbelt light. There's no seatbelt ding. And I just make a point. I'm in a habit. I put that thing on and I think, wow, it would sure be nice to have a shoulder harness. You know what I mean? To hold yourself if something were to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, wow, that really tells you how far we've come, how inadequate that was in the 70s versus today.
I'm sure you still have an ashtray with a cigarette lighter in
Absolutely.
that truck too.
We're talking about removing that. But it's how original do you want to leave the pickup? And Dave joked with me the other day, we've done so much to the pickup, it's way past leaving like the ashtray in it.
Yeah. Who cares?
That's funny.
Well, you could just start smoking and use it.
That sounds healthy, Dave.
Who says we're not?
Hey,
all
it was
right.
okay for my mom.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to go back to something on Bear's Jake brakes. I just got to thinking about something. You know, we could have we call it a shift stock, where you put the truck in gear and then pull it, 1, 2, 3 on the Jakes. Bear, be sure that, all 3 lights are lighting up when you pull the Jake on in position 1, that you have 1 light, position 2, you have 2 lights, position 3, you have 3 lights. And then these trucks are so quiet with the DPF and the mufflers, you can't really hear 1 head, 2 head, 3 head like years ago. So you kind of have to be going down a fair hill and move that shift stock between 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And then you do have the max brake where you pull it. There's a detent. Once you get to 3, you can actually pull it into a detent, and that engages the transmission, so that's like max engine brake. But I mean, that's the same as on the other trucks. I mean, he's had that all along. I'm just kind of going over maybe some helpful hints to really realize, wow, there's no difference between the engine brake on 1 and 3. Right.
Maybe he's, just a joke with him. Maybe he's looking for the Jake to be so good to miss that turkey.
Right.
It's not going to help.
Funny.
On the seatbelt jam, I just want to mention, because again, from experience, and I think it's an age thing. I really try to look at the what if, but also, our liability that we have here at JFW. We're always looking at the liability, the 3-point stance, all that kind of stuff, checking your oil, doing your pre-trip and all that kind of stuff. But, the girl that rear-ended one of our trucks several years ago, she had no seatbelt on, you guys. And I know that's different than what you're talking about, because at least you have the lap belt. I don't think the lap belt in that style would have saved her life. And obviously her speed, but every paramedic there, not every paramedic, the situation that was there was, if she was wearing her seatbelt, she would have lived, you guys. She would have had broken legs, broken pelvis, that kind of stuff, but no life-threatening injuries. So I want to bring that up. That's for the safety belt, but the shoulder harness across you, because that's going to stop your body from hitting the steering wheel.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with the story with the girl. She hit the steering wheel, hit the windshield, all that kind of stuff. You've eliminated that with the shoulder harness. And something I want to bring up where I'm ending this with is, we've seen the photos, we've followed it, we've done all this stuff. We just showed everybody the photo of the trailer in the wind that almost hit the Coleman truck. That was a head on, right? You need that protection if you get in a head on. You've all seen the traffic, cars passing each other. Please, you guys, you need the protection unless you have a head on. And I'm talking something that's not even your fault.
Yep.
Just you minding your own business, driving the speed limit, enjoying your sandwich, making some money, and a head on happens, and you don't have that shoulder across you. So please, like Jam said, wear that. That's my little story.
Yeah. Also, the seatbelt is to work in conjunction with your airbag.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go flying face first into that airbag too hard, because that's going to jack you up too.
Yeah, and you hear about all
Except we don't have airbags
in your car, though.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, and they are. I know Dave's going to ask me to have you remove this, but in Europe, most of their Class 8 trucks all have airbags. They've all went to air curtains and airbags. So some that hopefully will be headed this way. But I do know, I mean, my middle daughter, Allie, she was in an accident and the airbags deployed, seatbelt on and the whole thing. But I was shocked at the burns on her one forearm that the airbag gave her.
Airbag.
You know, no other injuries. Who cares if it's a burn?
Right.
But I'm like, well, Jesus, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, the airbags are aggressive.
Yeah.
They could kill.
Well, they do it.
Yeah, same thing with my daughter Sarah. When she got into a wreck, her airbag just burned the crap
Yeah.
out of her both arms.
Yeah. Allie just mainly had it on one, I think, Dave.
Is it
but
a
I would-
friction burn or from gas in there or what?
I don't know. But
It's whether it is a friction
pretty
burn.
good,
I mean,
yeah.
because it looks like a rug burn, doesn't
It
it,
does,
Dave?
yeah. It's
probably-
red.
The airbag just ripping your skin.
Yeah. I'd say a friction kind
Okay.
of. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, want to hit us with that high road hauling soup?
I can do that. I have a high road hauling, and I hope everybody listens.
97 people.
Right?
We know that.
So this week's high road hauling is a little different. It's actually just a poem. It's called The Positive Promise to Yourself.
What's it called?
I don't know.
No, I'm just asking. I missed it. What was
The
it called?
positive promise to
I
yourself.
thought you were testing me.
No.
The Positive Promise to Yourself. And it was actually written by a gentleman by the name of Christian D. Larson. And I encourage you to Google that guy. He,
That's my. It's not Larson is my brother-in-law's last name, Dave.
is it
Larson?
really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that,
Chris
Jim.
Larson. Yeah.
Yeah. So, promise to yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind, to talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet, to make all your friends feel that there is something in them, to look at the sunny side of everything, to make your optimism come true, to think only the best, to work for only the best, and expect only the best, to be just as enthusiastic about success of others as you are about your own, to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile, to give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others, to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble, to think well of yourself and to proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but great deeds, to live in faith that the whole world is on your side, and so long as you are true to the best that is in you, by Christian D. Larson.
Wow.
Hey.
So good thoughts in there. And if anybody wants a copy of that, I would be more than happy to print it up for you.
Yeah.
So you might want to hang it on the wall of your bedroom or your garage and look at it from time to time to give you a little boost when you might need one.
Positive promise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Super Dave. Thank you. Hey, I'm right along with that stuff, Dave. The positive promise. Me and Potter were talking, and he sent me a little something here, and he said I could break it up. I could, read the whole thing or anything like it, and it's just really a different take on things. But we've all heard it 1,000 times, or even said it ourselves. I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and eat better. I'm going to try to get in shape. I'm going to try and lose weight. I'm going to try to stop smoking or try to stop drinking, etc., and etc. Trying is just an excuse for the non-doers. Take an Olympic athlete. Do you think they try to beat the world record of their opponents? No, they tell themselves they are going to do it. We all may fail at doing something, but is it really failure if you learn something, or does it become learning experience from doing it? Or does it, I read that wrong, or does it become a learning experience from doing it? Visualize this. Put something on the ground in front of you. Now try, and only try to pick it up. Don't pick it up because that is doing it. Just keep trying. You will never pick it up until you do it. So what that means is if you keep trying, you will never do it, right? You're just, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. No, I'm going to do it. If you want to lose weight or get in shape or be a better version of yourself, just do it. There's a whole commercial, like Nike says, just do it. They didn't tell you, why don't you try it?
Try doing it.
Just try doing it.
Just try it.
No, they said do it. So what we talked about here is if you want to get your 9% bonus, don't try it. Just do it, right? So thank you, Potter. Appreciate it. And, it's a different spin. I say that a lot. I'm going to try to lose some weight. No, I just need to do it.
I just literally had this conversation with my buddy Timmy on Monday because he's been trying to quit smoking, and, the other day he's like, I failed. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to try to do this. I was like, yeah, until you're done trying, you're not going to quit.
Right.
You gotta do it.
Right. Well, I love that piece in there. I've seen that Nike commercial. Just try it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've used that example with some drivers before. Like, Jim, try to pick up that pen.
Yeah.
No. You picked it up. Just try to pick it up.
Right. Just try. I don't have to do anything. I tried.
Right.
I either tried in here or tried with my hand or right. I get it, Jan. That was, the discussion me and Potter had.
That's awesome.
It's just it's that different looking at it, like your high road hauling, Dave. It's a promise,
Nice. Final thoughts, everyone.
That was kind of mine. Jumped in.
That was mine too.
I can't cap on that. I'm good.
All right. Super Dave, any other thoughts?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Channel 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 to help find Amber's mom. Links to her story will be in today's show notes. Let's say the creed and get on out.
That sounds perfect.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are absent and free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions.
Together we are the JFW family.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Good luck on today's podcast knowledge challenge. If you need help, please ask.
Absolutely. If you need help, please ask. I want to make sure you said that, Jim.
Yep. You are not alone. We
not
are
alone.
A team.
This is a team.
And drive safe, dump safe, be safe.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I like it.
Absolutely.
Wear your seatbelts all the way.
Be safe.
Later.
Thanks, guys.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, 'cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.